Yeah, I'm super excited to be back on YouTube, talking sports with y'all. This gonna be our new YouTube page. I had lost the login credentials for my last YouTube page, but that's alright. Just made a whole new page, and we back just in time for March Madness 2023. Um, I put on the Instagram if y'all wanted me to do a whole March Madness bracket in one video, or if y'all wanted me to break it down by region. So most votes was for me to break it down by region. So I'm gonna go through each region. I'm gonna fill it out, and then I'm gonna pick a winner for each region, and talk about some of the matchups a little bit that I like in the region. Um, so first we're gonna start with the 8-9 game, which is Memphis versus FAU. Um, if y'all know a lot about Memphis, they're an older team with a lot of older players. Like my age, I'm 26. I'm about to be 26. I'm 25 right now. So most of their team is like 26 years old. They got a guard by the name of Kendrick Davis, who was a transfer for SMU in the same conference as them. A real solid guard. Also with another player named DeAndre Williams, who's like a wing forward, real long and athletic. And they playing FAU, a team who won a conference championship, who actually beat UAB, which a lot of people know because of Jelly Walker. I think this is going to be a very good 8-9 game, but I just think overall the experience of Memphis guards is going to take over, and they're going to move on past FAU. So let me fill that in on my bracket. I got Memphis moving forward. Next matchup I see that a lot of people was talking about for a lot of different reasons is this 5-12 matchup between Duke and Oral Roberts. If you don't know a lot about Oral Roberts, a few years back they were the Cinderella story. I believe they made it all the way to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8. Don't quote me on that. But they got a guard by the name of Max Abus, who's a real dynamic guard who can go for 30 to 40 any given night. And they got a transfer big man who's like a stretch five, Vanover, who originally played at Arkansas, I want to say. He was a top 100 recruit. Now he's at Oral Roberts. And they're matching up with Duke, who's beginning to hit their stride. If y'all been watching Duke these past couple of weeks to month, they looking real good. Derek Lively, I don't want to mess his name up. Flipowski, the big man. You got Tyrese Proctor, who's a guard, real good in the mid-range area, real good defender. Point guard Jeremy Roach. So Duke's definitely hitting their stride. I know a lot of people is making this their upset 12-5. But I want to say Duke gets out of this game over Oral Roberts. So I'm going to go fill in Duke moving on against Oral Roberts. The next matchup, which people are calling for an upset as well, is this Tennessee versus Louisiana, which is the 4-13 matchup. Now, Tennessee did lose their starting point guard, Zakai Ziegler, to a torn ACL. But I just think that defense is just so strong. I'm not really too familiar with Louisiana. If I don't know a mid-major team on this bracket, I'm going to be honest with y'all, and I'm going to do my homework on them at a later date. But I'm not really too familiar with Louisiana. But I think Tennessee moves on just because of the strength of their defense. I think Rick Barnes will figure out how to get them past the first round. The next matchup we got is a 3-14 matchup between Kansas State and Montana State. If you know Kansas State, you know they got a heavy backcourt. Marquise Noel and Johnson, the transfer from Florida who had the heart attack and collapsed on the court a few years back, who's back and better than ever. I never seen a player recover from something that tragic so quick. I think Kansas State's guard play gets them past this first round matchup, and I got them moving on past Montana State. The next matchup is a matchup I can't wait to watch. It's the 6-11 between Kentucky and Providence. Quick little story. If you don't know too much about Providence's best player, Bryce Hopkins, he's a transfer from Kentucky. He went to Kentucky last year. Didn't really get too much transfer, and now he's the best player on Providence. Providence also got Bynum at point guard, veteran. They got Noah Locke, who's a shooter. Ed Croswell down low. And then Kentucky, it's been a real up and down season. Shebway, the player of the year last year, came back, but they've been real up and down. We got Cason Wallace, a freshman who's been playing well, but they got a lot of injuries. I don't know if Xavier Wheeler's going to be back for the tournament, and I just like Providence to get past Kentucky, and this be the first upset in this region. I like Providence to get past Kentucky. I'm not sold on Kentucky. The next matchup we got is a 7-10 matchup between Michigan State and USC. Michigan State's a very hard, frustrating team to figure out because they just played Ohio State and it looked like they couldn't score at all. Like, I was wondering if I could go out there and get a bucket for them, but they still got a veteran backcourt with A.J. Hoggard, Tyson Walker. They still got the Hauser brother on their team. And then you look at USC, they got Boogie Ellis and Drew Peterson. Drew Peterson's a 6'7" guard who can get a bucket, and he's a weird matchup for teams. But I think Michigan State's guard play is going to get them to the next round. And I don't really like betting against Tom Izzo, at least in the first round. So I think they win that 7-10 matchup. Next, we got Marquette as a 2 seed against a 15 seed Vermont. This is a tricky game. It's not going to be as much of a blowout as some people might think. I'm not putting Marquette on upset alert, but I'm just saying watch this game. But I like Marquette to move on. You got Kolek at point guard, who's one of the best point guards in the country. You got Cam Jones, who can hit the three. You got Prosper as a wing and down low. So I like Marquette to move on. And then I like Purdue to play whatever 16 seed comes out of that first 4 game. So next we got Purdue in the second round against Memphis. This is going to be a very good game, but I think Zach Edey is going to be too much down low for Memphis. And I think Purdue has some steady guard play and can make shots from 3. But if they're not on from 3, this game could go either way. But for now, I'm taking Purdue to move on. Next, we got Duke and Tennessee. I think this is going to be the game where Tennessee really misses Zakai Ziegler. And I think Duke's guard play with Jeremy Roach, Tyrese Proctor is going to take over this game. And they're going to make enough shots to beat Tennessee. So I got Duke moving on in that game. Next, we're going to have a good one. Providence and Kansas State. This is going to be 11 seed versus a 3 seed in the second round. And I like Providence. I don't know why I'm so high on Providence, but I really like them. I like what Ed Cooley does. And if you can slow down Marquise Noel and Johnson on Kansas State, it's hard for them to score. And I think Providence is going to slow this game down. And they're going to grind one out against Kansas State. So I got Providence moving on to the Sweet 16. Next, we got Michigan State and Marquette, which is going to be another good one. But I just don't want to bet against Tom Izzo. I think Michigan State's going to figure out a way to guard Kolek off of those high pick and rolls that he loves to operate. And I think Michigan State's going to move on and get past Marquette. I think Michigan State as a 7 seed is going to beat the 2 seed Marquette. And now we got Purdue and Duke. A lot of people were predicting this matchup. I even predict this matchup. And a lot of people are going with Duke. But me personally, I like Purdue in this matchup. Now, what I can say is Duke can definitely match up with Zach Edey. They got Lively. They got Flipkowski. They got Ryan Young off the bench. So they can match up with Purdue down low. But I don't know. I just like Purdue a lot. And I think they're going to get past John Shire and Duke and move on to the Elite 8. Next, we got Providence and Michigan State to go to the Elite 8. And I'm riding with Providence. Call me crazy, but it's one team every year that makes a run. And I like Providence as the 11th seed to make a run. I like them to get past Michigan State. I'm high on Providence. So Elite 8 matchup I got for the East region is Purdue versus Providence. And I'm sticking with Purdue. Zach Edey's going to be too much for Bryce Hopkins and Ed Croswell. And I think Purdue is going to be a Final Four team. A lot of people think this is the hardest region for a 1 seed. But I like Purdue's matchups with mainly every team that they might encounter. I like Purdue to get to the Final Four. And that's what I'm feeling from my East region. I like Purdue to make it out of the East. Stay tuned for the other regions.